Yet another Sunday evening means yet another live recording of the Auburn Experience podcast. This is episode 69 coming your way. We've got a lot to talk about with you today. A little Auburn potpourri. We're going to talk about, obviously, some fun football-related topics in terms of conference realignment and things like that, SEC tournaments, and, of course, we're going to talk to you, the live viewers, starting right now. War Eagle Auburn family and a special War Eagle, and thank you for joining us to our E2C Network family, whether you're watching live, replay, otherwise, Facebook, YouTube, all the different places that you can get this content. We appreciate you being here. I'm Kyle. That's Austin. It's the Auburn Experience. Austin, what's up, sir?
Not much. How are you doing, sir?
Hanging in there, just trying to find a way to get me through to March Madness, baby. I mean, we are a week and a half out. Can you believe it?
I cannot. This is Champ Week. I'm excited. This past week was Champ Week for the ladies. Lots of exciting games, especially for Auburn. This is March. We sleep in May, and so I'm pumped. It'll be a great week of trying to get work done while still watching basketball, as much basketball as possible, as a tune-up, and for the next week when there will be watching basketball and just admitting failure to work. So I'm pumped. I can't wait.
I've already planned out how I'm going to set up multiple monitors downstairs in my living room. I told the wife today, I said, look, you got a week and a half until I am barring unforeseen circumstances. I do not need to be disturbed. This is the one time of year that I asked for this. That's it.
It's like 48 hours. We asked for 48 hours of like the multiple monitors necessary.
48 hours. Well, are you counting?
The first 2 days are really where you need. You might can have like the extreme setup. The round of 32 weekend, which is Saturday, Sunday, is like you can get by with 2 screens.
Okay, that's fair.
Balanced out enough. That Thursday, Friday is as many screens as you can fathom.
Yes,
and just watch it. I'm be honest. I get really sad after the first 2 days. I'm still excited. The tournament's still going, but it's like there's nothing like those 2 days. It is like nothing else in the sports calendar, and it's just perfect. And so
the first 2 days are chaos, which is what makes it so much fun. The second 2 days, the second round, is really where the good competition starts. Like you've eliminated everybody who was just there because they won their conference championship game or somebody was, a poser. So that's where the real competition begins. And then when we get to the Sweet 16 and all that, it just gets even heightened from there. So, but either way, it's all fun, all exciting. Auburn's a part of it, which is going to make this even more special. Great. Just the fact that we're there again. I know it seems like it's a foregone conclusion now, but hey, folks, enjoy it while you got it, because we've been through some times where we didn't have it all that much, at least. If you are joining us live, we'd love for you to start the show off by making sure that you post that you're here. Some of you have already done that, where you're watching from, your city, your state, international. If you got any comments or questions that you'd like for us to address at the top of the show, we'll get started here in about 2 or 3 minutes with the live recording, because we want to make sure we're making good use of our time, and I'll hang out with you a little bit afterwards as well. Got Brian checking in from the great white north of Minnesota. Thursday and Friday is why God created Buffalo Wild Wings. That's one way to look at it. That is certainly a way. I can think of a lot of places to go watch some March Madness, but I bet that place is rocking.
You can find everything you need.
I mean, how many screens do they have in there?
So many. I mean, yeah, tons.
The last time I was in a Buffalo Wild Wings, I remember one giant screen and then just, various sizes all over. It was almost like if you turn anywhere and you don't see some type of sporting activity or conversation going on, they have failed.
Right.
That seems like it was. I mean, when's the last time you were in a B-Dubs?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But that would be what I remember. A local place that we go to more often is a similar way.
Yeah. Does Auburn still have a Buffalo Wild Wings? Or did
in Tiger Town? Yep.
In Tiger Town. So Opelika, it's Auburn. Opelika, somewhat interchangeable. It's a little interchangeable. Sometimes it is. Sometimes I think Tiger Town is one of those places that Auburn annexes from Opelika for the shopping alone. So there's that. We'll address this at the top of the show.
I would have bet my house this would be the first question.
I knew. Look, I know. There's two things I know when I go live these days. Doesn't matter where it is. It's going to be about this or who is going to be the starting quarterback, or I should be more specific. Will Walker White, when's he going to beat Peyton Thorne for the starting quarterback job? I digress. Yep. Obviously, there's lots of rumors swirling about this.
Reebok. Reebok is what's going to happen.
I'm going to quote, and I think it is WT who says a lot. Aeropostale is who we're going.
Aeropostale, Reebok, and a return to Russell. Those are the three names you need to know.
Oh man, if we return to Russell, my little heart. So I know it makes no sense. I would. My nostalgia loving heart would love that.
Gap is a dark horse to watch.
Gap. Babies Are Us is
Oshkosh Bagosh.
Oshkosh Bagosh. You're very familiar with that, I bet.
I'm trying to think of we peel behind the curtain personal life. We went to the beach this week and took the boys to the beach to stay at a family place and hit the outlets on a rainy day.
I bet you went.
Oshkosh Bagosh was we did some damage in there.
I bet you did, especially double damage with twins.
That's right.
But anyway, to answer this, yes, we've seen the rumors. I will tell you that if you're a member of the Conquer Club and you are in the Discord at the Eagle tier of that, we talk about rumors and stuff whenever we get little bits of information. So there's been some conversations that we've been having we've been having over the last several weeks about this. But what I will tell you is this. It doesn't seem like there's any hardcore evidence of anything out there other than what you would probably think is the common. How do I say this without saying anything? I don't want to make it sound like I'm saying anything definitive. Does that make sense?
I mean, I think
there's a big brand.
Been paying attention to this at all. There's a couple brands that it's going to be, and ever since the get-go, it seems like one's been the leader.
Right.
I don't think that's any different.
You might just say at this point, why doesn't Auburn just do it? I don't know. Whatever you want to do at this point, you take it for what it's worth. I broke Austin. Great value, Kirkland apparel. So anyway, wow, we need some sponsorship on that one there.
What if? That'd be great.
What if? I don't know. Then we'd probably be selling our soul in some people's eyes to.
Anyway,
I'm not gonna open the door.
Imagine.
I can imagine. I've seen it before. All right. Before we continue to dig that hole, we're going to get started with the show tonight. And we'd love for you to listen in, watch. As most of you know, we don't usually interact a ton during the show, but you guys can hang out, talk amongst each other. I'll be back at the end of the show to talk with you. 30-minute-ish show, 3 10-minute-ish segments if I can talk tonight. Potpourri. We're going to talk about SEC bracket preview. We're going to basically kind of give you a little bit of what we think is going to happen. And then we're going to look at conference realignment from someone else's perspective. You've probably seen a very prominent figure offer his take on what conference realignment should be for football. And we want to talk about it a little bit because I think it's pretty intriguing. That's all coming up. Austin, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
And 3, 2, 1. David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of different ways, times, people, places, and even experiences. But at its heart and at its core, it is all about the Auburn sports, the Auburn culture, and the Auburn family. Because it's about family, we got to have some of those members in here to discuss it. I am your host, Kyle. Alongside me in chair number 2, as always, Mr. Scott, here to discuss that experience for episode 69. Sir, welcome back.
Thank you. Hope you've had a great week, sir. It's good to be back. We are in March officially, and I'm excited. Well, I guess we've been in March since we've done an episode of this, but we're in a full week in March. So I'm looking forward to the rest of this month, the sports that it brings, the moments that it brings. The one shining moments it brings, and I can't wait for us to get into it.
I may or may not have to be fighting the urge to start singing and humming one shining moment. There you go. Don't get me started. My wife is going to be hearing that nonstop. I'm surprised she's not already like yelling across the hall at me, even though I'm in the office. She probably heard me say, "No, don't start singing that again." It's going to happen. I love
great.
this time of year. It's the only part of like winter / the entry into spring that I actually like. And so it's like this humongous high for me. And then it goes down to
Wait a minute.
low.
You mean like the seasons?
Seasons.
Okay, like you do not like us going into spring.
I hate spring with a passion. Like
Really?
with an absolute passion.
You
Pollen,
like winter better?
I like winter because basketball is prevalent. It's there. That's all we got. Like after the holidays, that's the only thing that's keeping me from going into the doldrums of the freezing cold and temperatures and stuff.
Okay.
And when we don't get snow, when they tell me they're going to get snow, and it makes no sense that my one spot where everybody else is getting snow and I don't get snow, that makes me upset. So when I have basketball, that keeps me sane. But when basketball is done after March Madness, especially after the high of that March Madness, then I get very upset with pollen and temperatures that can't decide what they want. So yes, I don't like spring.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I'm sorry to start the show like that with
I'm
everybody.
gonna give you my
congratulations. I did not know that it was this was a tumultuous time of year for you.
It's always a tumultuous time of year for me.
Okay.
Anyway, we're gonna focus on the good things for now. That is a lot of March Madness. We got a lot to talk about. Auburn potpourri. I feel like we always say that, but that's why we do the show, because there's plenty of things to discuss.
That's right.
Spring break, as much as I don't like spring, spring break just happened on campus for does the public schools in Auburn out as well? Are they out as well this week?
Yes, Auburn City schools and my employer private school in the area all usually try and time it up together.
Yeah, I figured. I remember them doing that when I was there in school eons ago. But I couldn't remember if they still did that. The reason we bring that up, you're like, why are you talking about this, Kyle? But I always like to get Austin as a resident's perspective. Was it dead again?
Yeah. We were gone actually utilizing our spring break for about half the week, but early in the weekend, last weekend even, it gets pretty dead. People clear out pretty quickly, going all their different ways. But even today at church, you could tell people were back in town.
Right.
Baseball game, I think people were out there and drove. So yeah, spring break is come and gone.
I will commend the students for staying for that Saturday game to start their spring break and then coming back, a lot of them early. And I know that there was probably some that didn't go too far away. It wasn't that big of a draw, but look, it's spring break. Everybody gets excited about it.
Right.
So I just want to give credit where credit is due, the student body for staying and showing back up early. Those that chose to especially for senior day, which was a very important day for all of us. It's almost like I've done this for a while and teed it right up. Let's talk about the seniors for just a second. Okay. I think we could spend a whole segment on this, but in lieu of that and so many other things to discuss today, I do want to talk a little bit very briefly about these guys that for the men's basketball team, especially. And this is not taking away in any way from other seniors, from other sports that we could talk. We could talk about Honesty Scott Grayson and so many others on other different programs, but we want to talk about these guys because this has been a really special group that's really seen the highs and I won't say lows, but just, has really found themselves placed in one of the most important times for Auburn basketball. We're talking about, and you tell me if I'm forgetting someone, Leo Berman, Jalen Williams, and Janai, we're going to throw in there as well, even though he's not a senior, because let's be honest, he's gone, right? I mean, you agree with that statement?
Is he not an official senior?
My understanding is he's listed as a junior, but I think he was honored as a senior. I could be wrong.
I totally missed that. I just went with the flow.
I could be wrong. I know officially Jalen and Leo are the only ones that can't come back.
Right. They Chris used their COVID year, correct?
Yes. Tate Johnson, Chris Moore, and help me, I am forgetting one person. I know I am.
Carter Sabera.
I was thinking of
Jalen Harper.
Jalen Harper.
Anyway.
Boy. I know. I forgot Chris Moore last night, and now I'm panicking because I forgot the other one. Dylan Cardwell.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Take the podcast from us right now. How do we forget about Dylan Cardwell? But just real quick thoughts about these guys and how special they are to the program.
Yeah, guys, like you said, that have been around and seen a whole lot of Auburn basketball or have contributed in big ways to Auburn basketball. All these guys saw the first number one rank. Well, I guess Janai did not see the first number one ranking as a member of the team, but Bruce Pearl likes to talk about making history, and a lot of these guys have made history at Auburn by their contributions on the court and by their accolades. off the court, and all sorts of things. Just huge contributors to Auburn basketball. We didn't see Jalen and Leor honored because they were honored last year for senior day. And so I guess that's a whole other topic is, there's
How do you keep track
COVID
of all
seniors
this?
and seniors. I think this is the last year we're going to have to deal with it, as in going into like Dylan Cardwell can use his COVID year, but he's the last class that can do so. Praise the Lord. But all these guys deserve a lot of gratitude and praise. And like we talked about Carter Sobera and Jalen Harper, and I think there were probably a few managers honored yesterday as well. All those guys are massive contributors to Auburn basketball in the program and played large roles. So congratulations to them. I always, every year when it's basketball senior day, I like to read. Our buddy Clint usually posts it out. There was a time, and right or wrong, there was a time when Auburn basketball senior day was it was a really empty and quiet gym. And now it is not that, and that is in large part because of these guys and guys before them who have built this program to be what it is. So props to them. We thank them, and we can't wait for them to be some celebrity ends in the future.
Yes, and if you want to just get the feels going, make sure you go watch the videos they posted of them saying thank you. And let me just tell you, if you ain't ready, don't watch the end of the Dylan Cardwell one, because
don't
do it to yourself if you ain't ready to handle some emotional stuff there. So, but thank you to the guys, the seniors, whether they're legit, fifth year, whatever. We thank you guys so much for your contributions to the team, the program, and to the Auburn family. I do want to mention the women's basketball tournament for SEC, which is now officially wrapped up. And I believe South Carolina won that one. Is that correct?
They did.
Austin? They did. The Auburn Tigers were in it. They got the first round bye and also got a first win. First one since 2020, I believe, beating the Arkansas Razorbacks in a bit of a revenge bid. And then they ran into the buzzsaw that is the LSU women's team with Angel Reese, and that will say feistiness.
Yes,
that comes along with that. Not the way we wanted it to end. Not a surprise, seeing they had to face LSU again, but still very proud of them.
Absolutely. Probably the most likely outcome and what you hoped Auburn would do as far as just get one win, kind of absolutely deadbolt lock yourself into the NCAA tournament. They've done that. So now they'll wait to see where they're going to be selected and where they go. And but really continue to be impressed with this group. Continue to be impressed with Johnny Harris and her coaching staff and her leadership. This team is on the correct trajectory, and they just keep proving that. So I'm excited.
Definitely are. I want to do a quick review of the Diamond Sports. Softball began SEC play with Missouri. They were able to salvage a game against the highly ranked Missouri team today on the road, but they only get that one in the series. What a series for Auburn baseball with Austin P. And by the way, I just need to go ahead and apologize again. For whatever reason, I've been calling them Austin Peavy for years. And someone got a hold of me and said, Kyle, you sound like an idiot, which is, you watch this show every week and you know that anyway. I don't know why that's a surprise to some of y'all, but it's Austin P, which is weird. Pretty good baseball team, and quite a series. Auburn does end up winning it, but a very scary situation with that second game, and kind of made you worried about game 3. What I want to mention out of this, and maybe get some perspectives on you, Joseph Gonzalez pulled from the starting lineup again. If you listen to Coach's press conference, he didn't say that it was, he even kind of said, we're not really worried about injuries or if he's not healthy. This was more of kind of a reset situation. He clearly wasn't trending the direction we wanted him to go, maybe some mechanics, timing things down, and kind of made us all a little bit worried, I think, when we see Joseph do a couple games and then not start. Any thoughts about what you didn't see out of Joseph, but him getting pulled just for at least this weekend?
Yeah, well, I think, like you said, there's always some PTSD about when you see a guy like that who's had the career that he has in terms of injury. But yeah, I think you can trust Coach Butch Thompson when he talks about the reset. They know they've been with this guy for a long time. He knows his body. They know his body and what makes it tick and how things should look. And for whatever reason, it wasn't looking the right mechanics the right way at the time. And so better for them to, SEC play is coming next weekend. And so it's better for them to get things right, get things to where everybody feels comfortable. And I'm not too worried about an injury repeat or anything like that. But something to watch. But if Joseph Gonzalez is back on the mound for the Tigers, that's always a good thing.
Always a good thing, and love seeing him out there. So hopefully we'll see him back out there, maybe even this weekend, back in the rotation. To round out our potpourri, just want to mention, if you are unaware, basically, and I don't think I'm missing anybody, all the winter sports are now finished with their regular seasons, and some are almost well into their postseason plays, if not done already. Swimming, diving, equestrian, indoor track and field, men's and women's basketball, and gymnastics. I think that is everybody done with their regular seasons and in postseason play at the very least. That'll do it for potpourri. We're now going to move into our main topics. We're going to be talking about a little bit of an SEC tournament pick'em for men's basketball and looking at a conversation around conference realignment, at least a fantasy portion of it, and somebody's idea of that, all coming up next. But first, I want to talk to you about our friends at Magic Mind. And of course, you've been hearing me talking about them a lot lately, and for good reason. We really love these guys, and we're thankful that they continue to support the show. If you haven't found a good option for you in terms of an energy drink or something that gives you a pick-me-up in the morning or whenever you need it, a lot of options out there that you can use. Not a lot of them, though, are good for you. They kind of have some bad connotation in terms of your health. No names in specific there, but what I can tell you is that Magic Mind is the healthier alternative for you in that category. Tried it myself, and I can tell you, listen, I'm not a person who loves green things, and when you see the bottle, it does look green on there. But once I took the sample of it, I was like, my goodness, this actually tastes sweet. It actually tastes really good. And so don't let that deter you in any way. What I can tell you, though, is this: it's much better for you than some of those other alternatives out there. So if you're interested in trying out Magic Mind, please do visit them by using the link magicmind.com/Auburn. You can then use our code Auburn, AUBURN, for a 56% off of a subscription, 20% off a one-time purchase. Again, if you want to visit them, do so at magicmind.com/Auburn. Use the code Auburn for that 56% off or 20% off that one-time purchase. Big topic number one tonight, we are going to talk about brackets, not March Madness brackets. Technically, you could throw this into that category, but we're talking about the SEC tournament brackets. It is here, Austin. Are you pumped? Are you excited?
Well, not quite. That's not really one yet.
Wait, one more time. How did that go?
Can I say one thing that I'm really excited about March Madness for that really only Auburn people get to truly be excited about?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
What am I going to say?
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley. Right.
I mean, everybody loves Charles. Let's be honest, whether you like it or whether you want to admit it or not. But Charles is ours. And ever since Auburn's been back in the picture,
love him or hate him.
Love him or hate him. Ever since Auburn's been back in the picture, it's just like an added bonus to March Madness for us. So yes, I can't wait for it. But he's after the SEC tournament.
Yeah, we're gonna have plenty of times talking about what we just saw or heard Charles say for March Madness coverage coming up here very shortly. Let's talk about the SEC tournament and what maybe kind of a little pick 'em. I think that would be fun to do. You know, your Auburn Tigers obviously are in the tournament. Everybody is, no matter how bad you are. Missouri.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Goodness, you just feel bad for them at times. Auburn's been bad, but I don't think they've ever been, at least in recent history, that bad. And here's the thing. Missouri, when we played them, you can tell they have talent.
Oh, they're close.
They just don't play well together as a team.
Well, and not to make this a Missouri segment, but
it is about Tigers.
There you go. No, but they're running into a league that the floor of the league is the best it's been in forever.
Right.
Like it's been so long since the rest of the league elevated it. And unfortunately, they're the second team since 1945 to go 0-18 in conference play.
Yeah. So, man, it's tough road, and it's a tough scene for them right now. I'm going to bring it up on the screen for those watching live. Again, if you're on the audio portion of the podcast, you'll just have to imagine it, or you can pull it up on your phone or whatever, however you want to, just to play along with the show. But we'll kind of bring this up and down as needed, just so that you can at least take an early, quick look at that. You'll see your Auburn Tigers. They are listed on there in a double bye situation as the number 4 team. A lot of craziness happened in the last week that situated that. Auburn was vying for the number 2 spot, but I don't know. Maybe we actually got out of this a little bit.
I think so.
We'll see how everything plays out. What we learned all season is that the SEC is just ridiculously talented and tough to win in. But right now, your Auburn Tigers double bye. They would play either Vanderbilt, Arkansas, or South Carolina, whoever makes it out of those first 2 days. Eventually, maybe a rematch with Tennessee and either an Alabama, Kentucky, most likely in your final situation if we make it that far. So we got to do this kind of rapid fire, Austin. Yeah. And I know it's going to be tough to do, but what I would love to do is do a little bit of a pick 'em for us today. Okay. And let's just start with probably the easiest pickings there, Missouri or Georgia.
Oh, Missouri, obviously. No. I'm going to pick Georgia. That they were close to being out of the bottom 4, but didn't quite make it. I think they've got some pieces they'll be able to send Missouri home early, and probably what Missouri wants to, if we're being honest.
And put them out of their misery. Just, I mean, really.
There you go.
See, I've been using that joke way too much lately.
I've noticed. It's okay.
Oh, you've noticed that I've been using that too much?
It's popped up on the Twitter a few many times.
Oh man, I can't escape it anymore. It's just I'm everywhere, and I wish I kind of wasn't at times. All right, your other round 1 game.
What do you got? You got Georgia?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I thought it was a foregone.
I'm just making sure.
It's Georgia.
It's
Vanderbilt, Arkansas. This one's maybe not as cut and dry as it may look if you just look at the names alone and what we would typically associate with each program of recency. What do you think?
I pick Arkansas. I think you're right. I think it'll be a closer game, but I think Arkansas has come on here a little bit better in the last few weeks. It's still, rough start is still landing them in the bottom 4 and playing the first game of the tournament. But I've got Arkansas and the Pigs taking down Vanderbilt.
I have never been more disappointed with the program than I have with Arkansas this season.
Yeah, no kidding.
With all that talent, and boy, do they just do not play well together as a team. For that reason, I'm calling the first upset of the tournament. I'm saying Vanderbilt takes down the Arkansas Razorbacks and continues to embarrass them this year. Now, I'm not going to have them go very far, so don't worry about it if I'm wrong on this.
So you like Vanderbilt's arena now?
No, that's not.
That's what I just heard.
They're actually playing in Nashville in an arena that's built to have a basketball game in.
Kyle likes Memorial Gymnasium now.
Not some monstrosity that does not deserve to exist on this earth.
Kyle's a fan of the Memorial Gymnasium now.
Stop telling lies. Wrong. Fake news. Fake news. So Vanderbilt
so we split.
Vanderbilt, Arkansas. It's not going to really matter all that much.
Probably not.
But let's look at first one for day 2, Mississippi State, LSU. Don't really know where to go here. What do you think?
Yeah, this is an even one. I think really this one came down to the last game of the night last night. Even if LSU had lost, these two would have split. So they were destined to meet each other. I've got LSU. I think LSU is going to take down the Cowbells.
I'm going to disagree with you again.
Boy.
I've been fairly encouraged by Mississippi State throughout the year.
They can shoot it.
They can. And Tolu Smith, I think, is a pretty good big man, too. I got a feeling that they're going to win. But this is not the biggest upset. It's the 8-9 seed.
Correct.
I mean, when this happens in March Madness, you're kind of like, hey,
it's a coin flip.
It's a coin flip. So to me, that's what the situation is, too. Again, probably not going to matter at the end of this thing. Of course, I say that, and it's going to get crazy. Next game, we have differing teams here, but they'll be taking on South Carolina. I'll go first this time. South Carolina is going to win this one. I think they surprised everybody this year. I think they're going to continue to surprise people, setting up a rematch with Auburn. Do you disagree in any way?
I do not. I think that South Carolina takes it. They were right there for a top 4 seed, didn't get it, mainly because of that beatdown Auburn gave them. But I think South Carolina is an easy pick to go to Friday.
Yes, and that's why I said it didn't really matter that I called the upset for Vanderbilt. Ole Miss versus Texas A&M. Another one that is going to be interesting because Ole Miss was a team that looked poised to be one of the more dominant teams in the SEC and still good, but maybe fell off a little bit. Texas A&M is confounding because they'll look good, then they won't. Buzz Williams is their coach, which already kind of takes them up a notch for me.
Right.
What say you, Ole Miss, Texas A&M?
Yeah, this is one of those weird ones where Ole Miss and A&M played yesterday, and now they're going to turn around and play again on Thursday.
That's
and
weird,
so it's very weird. That happened with Auburn and Missouri.
I was going to say, you remembered it.
But A&M blitzed Ole Miss in Oxford yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think that even though it's a quick turnaround and you've seen everything they've got, I don't really see Ole Miss turning around that much. And I think A&M will be moving on.
Buzz Williams is one of those coaches that gets a lot out of their team, especially
Yes.
when it matters most. So I'm going to say Texas A&M as well, setting up the game with Kentucky. But first, let's look at that final game for the second round. We both have the Georgia Bulldogs meeting the Florida Gators. I'm sure they're going to call it some type of weird cocktail party thing.
Ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Florida or Georgia? What say you?
I have the Gators. I think that Florida's a better team. I truthfully have no idea how they played each other in the regular season.
Yeah.
But I think Florida they've got the makings to make a strong run in this tournament and the big one. And they also have the makings to go, one and done. So I don't know how which team will get, but I'm going to hedge my bet and go with Florida.
Yeah, I think after this round, things are going to get really interesting. Potentially. I mean, it still could go chalk by the end of it, but I think Florida's one of those teams that could be not a fly in the ointment. That's not a fair comparison because they're a good team. And I really like having former Auburn guy coaching them as well. So I'm going to say that Florida does win and goes on to take on Alabama.
That game is scheduled to start around 9:30 p.m. on Thursday night, and that is why we love March.
That is why we love March. Basketball all day long.
All day, all night.
All day, all night. Let's go maybe in reverse order the way the bracket's set up. Let's just start there. Florida, Bama. Do we let our orange and blue take over and call the upset, or do we think the Crimson Tide is just too talented?
I like what you said there about orange and blue because Florida's orange and blue. Also, another game is going to be the late night game. This game, we've had Florida, Bama once in Tuscaloosa where Bama won, another time in Gainesville where Florida destroyed them. What team will it be this kind of go around? My gut says Florida, but I'm going to pick Bama to beat them and move into the semifinals. I think that's going to be a great game. Those two teams know each other. They both, want to win and beat the other one pretty bad based on the regular season so far. So I'm going to pick Bama. I would not be surprised if it's Florida, and I'll be pulling for the Gators.
I will be pulling for the Gators, but I'm going to pick Bama here just for my, looking not biased completely.
Yeah, there you go.
It's just for some credibility there. We'll work again in reverse order. We've got Kentucky, and we both said Texas A&M will be taking them on. They appear to be the Kentucky that we always think they would be, getting it together with all the talent they have. Buzz Williams, though, does it make a difference? For me, I'm going to say no. I think Kentucky, like Florida, is a team that's been surging of late.
Right.
I think Kentucky's going to be able to take down Buzz Williams, even with probably a really good game played in that one. Do you differ in any way?
No, I think you're right. Kentucky is hot, really hot right now, and it looks like they are putting pieces together at the right time. A&M is not St. Peter's, so I'm going with Kentucky in this game.
I think so as well. So St. Peter's, I've always
took you a second, but there we go.
Yes. I'm going to say now for the Auburn, South Carolina game, it will probably be the game of the day, the most competitive. Okay. I think so. I think Texas A&M, Kentucky will be the second best game. As much as I want Florida to take, they're all going to be good games. How about that? I think they are, but I think Auburn and South Carolina is going to go down to the wire. This is a neutral site. South Carolina wants revenge. I think it'll get a little bit scary. We'll have 2 days to watch everybody and have gotten a little bit, a lot of rest, but time off sometimes maybe can work against you.
That's right.
Yay or nay? Auburn advances.
I pick Auburn. I think Auburn is going to win. I think they were the better team against South Carolina, whether it was at Neville Arena or not. And I'm going to pick the Tigers to move on to Saturday. I think Auburn really needs this win, not for making the tournament or not. They're in. But I think Auburn, there's been a couple going up there to Nashville and coming right back. I think Auburn needs this win to establish some confidence. Coach Pearl said as much in his post-game press conference last night. You win the first one, and then everything else isn't easier, but you feel like you're in a groove. And so I think Auburn needs this win. I think they'll be motivated, and I think they'll get it done.
And in that final game, I think Auburn's going to win that one. I think it'll be close, but I think they're going to get the win and get that security they need for the NCAA tournament seeding. Tennessee and we both had differed on that one.
Right.
The question is anybody going to beat Tennessee? My answer is no. What about you?
Anybody?
In this round.
Okay.
I'm sorry, quarterfinals.
I'm not trying to jump ahead. I'm just making sure.
Tennessee moving on to the Final Four of the SEC. I say yes.
Yeah, I say yes. This team, there's going to be so much gaudy orange inside that Bridgestone Arena. That it'll be crazy. You know, they dropped one yesterday. They'd already won the regular season, but I think Tennessee takes down LSU, Mississippi State, whoever is in that game.
Well, they took one to the one of the best teams playing right now, at least how they're currently playing. So it's not that much of a black eye on their record or anything like that. All right, looking at the schedule here, you've got the Final Four. We'll do this as fast as we can for the sake of our segment. We have Tennessee versus Auburn, the rematch. Auburn, Tennessee. What a game that was. Arguably the best in the SEC this year. Round 2. What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, Kyle, I'm letting my orange and blue get the best of me. I'm going to say Auburn gets their revenge. I think that they've got a better idea. Defense. This team's one of the best defensive teams in the country. This team will scout well for Dalton Connect, and I think they won't let him get almost 40 again. But man, it'll be a great game if it ends up happening. But I think Auburn's going to edge it out. I'm going to pick the Tigers to make it to Sunday.
I'm very worried about this game, but I will also pick Auburn to win this game because a lot of the reasons that you said, but I also try to look at things, how the game really plays out in the context around the game, where they were. Auburn probably could have beaten Tennessee at their place had it not been for a 40-point performance by Dalton Connect. And I know that's just one thing in this conversation, but to me, I think at a neutral site defensively, like you said, Auburn's going to get the win to push them into the finals matchup. Here it is, Alabama, Kentucky. What do you want to see, and what do you think it'll be?
Yeah, I will not pull for Alabama. It's not going to happen. But I just really can't. This is another one where my gut and my heart say different things. But I cannot get past the Kentucky beatdown in Rupp Arena. It was, the shooting was, yes, a little out of character, maybe an outlier for Kentucky. 117 points doesn't happen regularly, but they destroyed them. And Alabama's defense has not gotten better. So I'm going to say Kentucky. I think if we end up with this Final Four, though, Kyle, Saturday will be an incredible day of basketball in the SEC alone. But I'm going to pick Kentucky and Auburn in the championship.
I will agree with you as well. I think Alabama will put up a fight, but just Kentucky, I think, is surging too much right now. They're a lot of talk about peaking at the right time. They're peaking with great talent at the right time. So Kentucky versus Auburn, we both agree. We differed on how we got there. I'll give mine first.
Okay.
I don't think Auburn's going to win the championship. I think they will come close. I think Kentucky is just found, unfortunately, as frustrating as it is, has found their rhythm at the right time. And Auburn will give them everything that they can handle. But it's Kentucky. They're a blue blood for a reason. We are as well. But I think Kentucky is going to win. It seems like you agree.
For all the reasons you just mentioned about why Kentucky is peaking at the right moment and all that, I think so too. They're very good. They're very talented. They handled Auburn pretty well inside Neville Arena. I think Kentucky, it will be a good game, but I think Kentucky will probably edge out Auburn. And look, I'm not saying I don't want to win. I'm not saying I don't want us Auburn to bring home a banner and another championship. But if Auburn makes it to Sunday, they have established themselves well for the SEC or for the national tournament. They have probably moved up a seed line. I'm good with that. I'm that is gravy to have an SEC championship for me, but that would be a successful week in Nashville.
It would be, and regardless, we are all going to win as SEC basketball fans.
Absolutely.
This is the best conference this year in basketball, and it will show up in Nashville. You can take that to the bank. I'm so excited. Big topic number 2 tonight. As we transition from basketball, we're still going to find a way to talk about some football. And this topic, I'll be honest with you, it's a little bit of a stretch for us because it's not so Auburn specific, but I think it's still a conversation that people have a lot of interest around and how we can continue to improve upon an ever-changing landscape for college football. Obviously, Auburn's in the SEC. Obviously, the SEC is about to change with Oklahoma and Texas. We know that's probably not the only change that's going to be coming down the pipe in the not too distant future with scheduling, maybe more additions, expansions, who knows. But for the time being, I think with some of the frustrations, many brilliant minds out there are offering their opinions about what this could be done better currently. A lot of you will know Josh Pate of the Late Kick with Josh Pate show. And he does a great job over there. We're going to steal his graphic from him, but so many others are, so I don't think he minds. We're giving him the credit it's due.
That's right.
But if you'll see it right here, he has offered up what he considers, and this is for the live viewers. If you're listening, you'll have to play along or imagine it or go look it up yourself. The perfect college football conferences. We don't have the time to go through every single aspect of it, but what I want to focus on is how it implicates Auburn and what this looks like potentially if this is what we were to do with the SEC. For that purpose, he has split a lot of the teams up that are currently in the SEC together. And he has done that amongst the other conferences, removed some completely, several completely, put some as independents. But right now, this is what he thinks the perfect college football conference would be for the SEC. Ole Miss, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU. Now, who's missing from that? Vanderbilt. He has them as an independent. It's an interesting take. Maybe not to disagree. We'll see. You are missing Arkansas, what will be Texas and Oklahoma, and Texas A&M. I think I got everybody. Am I missing anybody, Austin?
Missouri. They're forgettable people. Let's be honest.
Poor Missouri. You're always the last one.
They don't belong here.
I don't even feel bad, to be honest with you.
No.
So with that in mind, what you saw there, Austin, what everybody saw who was watching, maybe y'all have seen it on social media if you're listening in that format. Thoughts? What you think?
Yeah, as a big picture kind of thing, and I'm not going to talk about the other conferences that much, but for those that'll look at it, I think we'll realize what I'm saying. A lot of this is like how it was like 20 years ago, right?
Yeah,
I think a lot of this is, let's be honest. One of the totally lost my train of thought there. The thing that we all like to do new things, and we all like to try and get away from something and make the newest idea, and then we all kind of rein it back in and be like, hey, what we had wasn't so bad. That's kind of what this is. And I'm just going to list off the names of the conferences he has. We got SEC, Big Ten, Big East, Southwest, Big 8, Pac-10, ACC, and Independents. You go back to the late 90s, you can tell somebody that, you're like, isn't that what we already have? And it's true. So, in that sense, I'm kind of like, I'm okay with that. And we didn't have to mess it up to begin with. Now, however, the SEC from then to now with this current one would be a little bit different. Like we wouldn't have Arkansas, who came during the 90s.
Yep.
And then obviously A&M and Missouri came in 2012. And then Texas and Oklahoma are coming next year. You would keep South Carolina from that 1990s edition. And everybody would have about 10 conference opponents.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree with him. I just want to, kind of be like, well, we had this and it was pretty perfect then, but we all got, and there's a part of this where we're all leaving out, everybody get more teams, you get more TV money, things we don't like to talk about with college football.
Stop being logical.
But I don't think it's bad. The Vanderbilt to independent is the biggest thing here, because it's the most, not outlandish, but big move. And I kind of want to fight it, but I'm also kind of like, well, I don't know where else to put them.
I'm exactly with you on this. I want to fight for Vanderbilt here, but they haven't given me much ammo to fight with.
No.
So,
and it's important to say this is college football conferences.
Yes.
He has perfect college football conferences.
Yes.
So their excuse for how good they are in baseball does not qualify here.
And, Vanderbilt's got a great history in the SEC. You would know it if you don't go back and look in the Eon days. Back when this was actually a thing, this conference that he suggested was basically a thing. So it's almost like a slap in the face that the conference that they dominated was the SEC. They're not even part of anymore based on what they currently are doing. So I wish I could fight for you, Vanderbilt. I don't like seeing you there by yourself. It's kind of like that little brother that you annoys you. You don't want to protect him, but you don't really, he annoys you so much. So sorry, Vanderbilt. I think I just don't have any ammo to fight with. I think the one that is not troublesome, but it is a little bit disappointing is that Arkansas wouldn't be there. And yes, they were an expansion team, the first expansion ever, a long time ago. But they would go back to the Southwest, which frankly they were part of originally.
Right.
And have a lot of history over there. I mean, they've got some good rivalries with Texas and, and teams from that region that they are now going to have renewed with the real conference realignment that's coming up this season. I don't know. Do you have qualms about Arkansas not being part of the SEC?
Not football? Really. They have been my whole life part of the SEC, and so it's. But I don't know. It's not one of those teams. Like I see LSU on there, I'm like, I'd have a big issue if they weren't on there. I'd have a big issue if Tennessee weren't on there. But to your point, I think I'd probably switch them for South Carolina.
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I'd get rid of LSU.
What, you really? In the SEC?
I'd get rid of LSU. To me, LSU is its own beast. And where
would you put them?
Nowhere.
Independent.
I'd put them as the Cajun conference by themselves with, and get all the other Louisiana schools just to come be with them over there. Look, when we had LSU come off the schedule this year for the 2024 year, and first time ever, and at least in forever, that the Tiger Bowl won't happen. I wasn't that upset about it. Not because I'm afraid of them, but because of what we gained. And to me, that old traditional SEC, while yes, LSU is kind of a part of it, you're looking at the teams minus Vanderbilt and take South Carolina out of it that were always a part of that. If we're going straight nostalgia, what was good about the old days, that's what it looks like to me, minus LSU, because it's the Mississippi schools, the Alabama schools, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee. Yeah, okay, you could throw Kentucky in there too if you want to, because we need a splash of color. But
okay, in that vein, then I'll propose it, because I've got a little nostalgia thing I would do too. But in that vein, if you could switch somebody out of this perfect CFB conference SEC for someone else, who would you do, and who would you switch?
So
I've got one, but I want to hear yours.
You're saying switch them from any conference to another one?
Yeah, you can take one out of this SEC he has and switch it with someone else.
I would switch LSU probably for Arkansas. I'd probably switch LSU for Arkansas.
Interesting.
And I know that's stupid in some ways, and people are going to disagree with me, but I'd switch LSU for Arkansas.
LSU in the Southwest, that my brain does not compute.
Folks, we have Missouri in the SEC. Everything.
This is the perfect CFB conferences, though, Kyle. This is our utopia. This is
if it was utopia. Why did we leave
where
it?
The ACC is both coasts?
It is. Hey, listen. If they had done it right, it's not.
I know
the coastal conferences.
All coastal conferences.
I would have loved that, to be honest.
Oh, that'd be great.
You would have had me as a big fan. I would have made it my second favorite conference after that.
So mine is I'm taking somebody from the ACC.
Okay.
And I'm switching them out with South Carolina.
Oh, I know. And that's going to be already.
Who?
Florida State.
No, I don't want Florida State anywhere near us. No. I want a former SEC conference member back in the SEC. And I think it helps in a multitude of ways with recruiting. Helps Auburn in multitude of ways with recruiting. It reestablishes a rivalry with Auburn. I'm taking South Carolina, who's on the Atlantic coast.
Okay.
And I'm putting them in the ACC, and I'm bringing Georgia Tech back to the SEC.
Okay.
We finally get to put the leg humpers back with an in-state rival.
You just said that.
With an in-state rival, so they can have to deal with what the rest of us have to deal with.
To quote our favorite show, you realize this mic is hot, right?
I know exactly what I said, Kyle. And I'm taking South Carolina out, who I already really don't care about. And I'm bringing Georgia Tech. And we get Rec Tech parades back. We get the rivalry. We get to go to Atlanta and catch an Auburn game. And they get to come here. I think that works out well. I want Georgia Tech back as a regular member or a regular rotational opponent for Auburn. That is a tradition that we lost that people do not talk about enough. And I think they'd fit great in the SEC.
They basically would be replacing Vanderbilt as the smart school that kind of can. Well, they'd play football more regularly than at least competitively.
They'd contribute a little bit more.
They would contribute. Well, okay.
That'd be great.
It's food for thought. Again, as a reminder, I'll pull up on screen again. The perfect college football conference: Ole Miss, Georgia, Florida, Mississippi State, South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Kentucky, LSU. Vanderbilt is independent. And back to the Southwest goes Arkansas, Texas, Texas A&M, and Oklahoma. And Missouri is just in misery still. Is it the Big Eight that they're? Yes, the Big Eight. I'll be honest with you, though, that Big Eight, just as a quick thought, I don't mind it.
That'd be fun.
I don't mind that at all. That's a pretty good look right there.
But we had that, Kyle.
I like your Auburn spin on it because that's the point of this, right? It's a bigger, broader topic than just Auburn, but we want to put our Auburn spin on it. So if we're thinking, how could we help improve upon this? Maybe you do switch out a South Carolina for a Georgia Tech to benefit Auburn in rivalries and stuff like that. Actually,
how cool would it be if we had Auburn and Georgia Tech again? And back when they used to grease the tracks because Georgia Tech would come in from Atlanta. What if the teams, if we're going to Georgia Tech, they're coming in? What if you had to ride the train? You had to go ride the train to play Auburn or ride the train to play Georgia Tech like the old days. That'd be awesome.
Your ticket is not good unless you got it punched at the the train station.
I'm talking about the teams.
Oh, the teams. Okay,
I'm talking about the teams.
Okay, that'd be kind of cool.
We'd have a tiger walk to the train tracks. I think it'd be awesome.
And that train station is, if I'm not mistaken, goes by or underneath almost the current stadium in Atlanta. Now,
yeah, that's true.
Not Bobby Dodd Stadium, but if we played it as a neutral site game every single year at the Dome.
Well, it wouldn't be really a neutral site, but that's another conversation.
It's a neutral site. They ain't going to put fans there from us. Come on.
Fair enough.
If it's not a neutral site game, it's ours for the taking.
Fair enough.
Let's just be honest. So there you go. The perfect college football conference is according to Josh Pate. Let us know y'all's thoughts about that. I'm sure a lot of you have been having this conversation online this week, but just a little bit of a fun football topic to get you through as we continue to march towards college football season. That's going to do it for episode 69 of the Auburn Experience podcast. We appreciate you joining in. If you want to catch up with me online, do so on X. You can find me at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
Yeah, at Austin G. Scott. Please direct all complaints or issues with my nicknames to me directly, not Kyle.
However you want to do that. But we'd love to hear some of y'all's thoughts about some of our topics today. Please do so. And we hope to catch up with you on the next episode of the Auburn Experience podcast. Until then, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
All right, folks, that's the show. Thank you so much for joining us and hanging out. I'm going to stick around for a few minutes. Had a little bit of a longer show today because I knew it would. A pick'em is not easy to do in 10 minutes.
Right.
I think we got it in with like 17. So, what's 10 minutes?
That's right.
Anyway, final thoughts from you.
I just want to go ahead and be completely honest. When I lost my train of thought, it was because Emily texted me and said in all caps, "Did one of y'all fart?" And I think it was when I messed with the chair. I think I adjusted my leg, but I don't know if that sound picked up on the recording. You didn't do anything.
I did not,
and I didn't see the chat do anything. But she asked me, and I just completely.
Wait a minute. Let me see if this was the sound that made it. Hold on. Did you hear anything?
I mean, I heard it, but I didn't hear that on the show.
That didn't sound like flatulence.
It did not sound like flatulence. But I completely lost. I don't know where I was going, but I was like, did I?
This show took a turn. Not only did we talk about leg humping, but we talked about flatulence too.
Look, Kyle, I don't want to upset anybody,
and I'm also going to tell you, I've got a joke in my head right now that I'm not saying because I'm going to behave myself.
You're a better man than I.
I think we're on the same wavelength, and it just doesn't need to be said.
Look,
no, stop. Nope. I'm gonna turn your mic off.
This was fun.
It was a good show. Any thoughts before you head out?
I don't believe so. No. Hope everyone has a great week, and we'll have a lot to talk about next Sunday.
Oh man,
after the tournament is announced and the locations and all the things. So looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks again for hanging out with us.
All right. Thanks, War Eagle.
War Eagle. All right, folks, you can hang out with me for the rest of the show. If you want to, you don't have to, but please do if you'd like to. We are going to just talk for a few minutes about anything further that y'all want to discuss. I think we had a comment or two during the show, and I can address some of those things and we can discuss a few of those things. What I would love for you to do is, if you haven't, first smash the like button. Let me give you the rundown of what to expect next before we spend the last minutes of our show addressing comments and questions that you guys might have. If you haven't, please subscribe because you're going to miss out on some content here. This is what we currently have scheduled this week with March Madness here, SEC tournament, but technically March Madness too. I want to stress that there may be stuff scheduled all of a sudden. You just need to be ready. So if you're not subscribing on YouTube, if you're not following everywhere else, you're going to miss out on something. So don't miss out on things. Make sure you're doing all those things. Here's what we got scheduled for you for the rest of the week. You obviously watched the Auburn Experience today. Tuesday, we have a baseball stream. Would love to see some more of you guys on these. I know it's not the biggest interest in the world for everybody at this current time, but you don't need to be watching this team. They're a good team. Big comeback in the series of sorts today. Response, not comeback, is a good way, against Austin Peay. We'll do it after the Troy game Tuesday, so it'll be a little bit later as we get ready for SEC tournament stuff too. It'll be a nice kind of palate cleanser of sorts. And then we'll talk about Vanderbilt too. Wednesday, we are going to have a call-in show. Going to be focused a lot about what we've currently seen in the SEC tournament, are seen, and I know there will be games going on, but I hope you guys can find the time to join us. I am potentially planning on doing another SEC tournament bracket pick'em show where you guys are going to help pick it. Potentially, I cannot guarantee it right now at this point. I'm not ready to commit to it. My best advice to you: stay connected, stay subscribed, stay following, all that stuff. Lots of fine folks checking in and hanging out with us. Thank you guys so much. A lot of you have checked in towards the end of the show, but it's still good to see you no matter what. We're going to cover a few more topics here. I think I've said hello to basically everybody. There's Michael. He said hello, and Thomas said during the show. Let me just go ahead and address this one because I know this is the second person to bring it up in the show. Auburn may be going with Nike. Folks, I'm going to tell you this again. I'm not going to say that Clint will be the one to break the story, but right now he is the main person that I trust, because a lot of the conversations that you're seeing pop up online today, Clint Richardson of the Auburn Uniform Database, he's been talking about for some time. And the prevailing rumor is today that at least rumor, that a Nike contract with Auburn may be imminent. That's been the more well-known thought today. There's been some message boards, editions, and things like that. I just got a note I got to go check on now. Austin sent me a note, so see what he's saying. I will just say about the Nike situation and the apparel situation. It could happen at any moment. I wouldn't get super antsy about anything right now. My guess, Clint has said this, is you would see something before summer, whether it's Nike or not. But we'll see. I've said my piece about this. I'm not the biggest fan of going to something that everybody else uses. I like us being different. I know there's reasons to swap. I still like what I like. So that's just my take on it. All right. Brian, giving us a War Eagle moment, says, last week I got a War Eagle in Turks and Caicos, but no War Eagle in 6 hours at the Atlanta airport. Shocked by no love in ATL. Well, I'm not shocked by that, sir. You got to come up to Marietta, to Northern, to like Alpharetta. There's a big contingency of Auburn fans up in the northern echelons of, is that even a word I should use there? Regions of Georgia. That's where like Lockheed Martin is, a lot of engineering jobs, all that kind of stuff. So if you want to do that. Joey says that Nike would be huge for Auburn, especially for Bruce Pearl. I don't subscribe to this theory. In fact, Bruce Pearl indirectly took on this challenge because one of the public enemy number ones for Auburn in most recent histories was former coach Tony Barbie, who literally made the excuse he could not succeed as an Under Armour school. How do you explain what Bruce Pearl's done? So to me, the notion that it's going to elevate the program in any way, like exceptionally to where it is just a myth. Does it make some recruits happy? Sure. That's not going to be the thing that makes them decide to or not come to Auburn, in my opinion. You can have different opinions of that. I just think that's just a myth to me and not really something that I hold a lot of weight on. But if that's what we switch to, that's what we switch to. Doesn't matter what I think. I just like having something to differentiate yourself. Now you got to have the company that you're with, make it worth your while. So there's always part of that conversation as well. If y'all missed it during the show, we talked about, prospective conference realignment and always the discussion around Georgia Tech coming back to the SEC. I don't necessarily see it happening, but as Brian said, he loves the Rec Tech suggestion that we had during the show, which I think would make a lot of people happy to see them back in some ways. Just kind of some old nostalgia there. During the show, this was a comment, got a good feeling playing Tennessee in the semifinals. I think so as well. Got to get through South Carolina most likely. If you can do that, it's probably going to be a Tennessee-Auburn rematch, and I'd really love to see that, to see how it goes a second time around at a neutral site, because Auburn should have and had the opportunity like twice during that game to take it in Knoxville. So I feel pretty good about the options we have to play them and the opportunity to beat them. Bring back Swanee. Most of you don't know that was part of the SEC. Joey says he likes Adidas. Just my opinion. I've never been a big fan of Adidas. Not really for any reason. I don't know. Yeah, it's just not my thing. Realignment will have to make the money. Sankey is what you meant there. Not going to lose the money coming in, just saying. Absolutely. And that's why you saw Texas look, I've said this in the conversation of conference realignment. It would make more sense for the SEC to bring in teams like West Virginia, Miami, Indiana. I'm going to tell you this one, and I think they missed the boat in bringing in Arizona. You're like, Kyle, what are you talking about? It's all about money. It's all about TV markets. The closest that the SEC, if regions are out the window now, basically the SEC is the only one that's kind of still self-contained. Why wouldn't you go grab an imploding Pac-10 school that you can almost build into a subdivision of your conference, the Southwest Division, Arizona and Arizona State, and have the Pacific market? It's close to Los Angeles. I'm just saying. I think they missed the boat on that one. But they don't ask me these things, so it doesn't really matter. But West Virginia gets you up into the Northeast region a little bit more. Same, Indiana gets you up into the Midwest. Miami is a market unto itself, even though you've got Gainesville down there as well. It's all about money. So when you look for expansion, that's where people are going to go. Our rivalries don't mean much to them these days. I think Minnesota should join the SEC. Well, that would just be selfish reasons so that you can see Auburn more often, right? For those of you who don't know, Brian's in Minnesota. I'm fine with it. I just don't want to play them that often. Unbeaten Lake says, if we move on from Under Armour, how many Under Armour logos will we have to remove from campus? My guess is over 5,000. Clint probably knows that number. Honestly, I'm struggling to think of Under Armour logos outside of just pulling apparel from stores and stuff like that. I mean, if you want to count those in your number, we used to have that Under Armour cover over the tunnel. I don't even think that's there anymore. Yeah, I can't really think of. I think it would be less than 100. If you're counting apparel that's got to be removed, then yeah, you're over 5,000. But on campus, I don't think there's all that much. Yeah, and let me just go ahead and say this about this conversation, folks. I know majority of y'all are clamoring for Under Armour to be replaced, and some of you want Nike, some of you want Adidas, whatever it is. You're not going to see it till 2025 season, at least. It's about a 2-year process out for these things to get renewed, redone. So if you're someone that's banking your happiness on this deal and think you're going to see it right away. You're not. Under Armour is here to stay for the next year, in my opinion, and based off what I've been told about it by people that seem to be in the know. We're not getting Under Armour out of the way this year, which frankly I'm okay with, because I'd much prefer to be associated with that, something that's different, as I've said before. Not a popular opinion. I understand, but I am what I am, and it is what it is. All right, final comments, questions, derogatory rebuttals. Get them in now. Get them in fast. While they're hot, don't miss your opportunity to have your voice heard on this live stream. Again, don't miss all the content we got coming out for you this week. Tuesday and Wednesday right now are scheduled streams for the evening, later night on Tuesday for the baseball stream, 8 o'clock on Wednesday for our call-in show. We'll be talking about stuff like this, anything and everything. Make sure you guys are following on all social media. If you're interested in helping support E2C Network and keep the lights on, be sure to check in the chat, join down below on YouTube or patreon.com/E2C Network to join the Conquer Club. You can get into our Discord and have conversations at the second level is where we ever get little tidbits about things. We share them in there. We've been talking a little bit about this apparel issue for the last couple of weeks in there. All right. Thomas is saying good night. I think we will say good night as well, as I think we've covered the majority of the topics tonight. Folks, thank you all so much for joining us, hanging out with us, being part of our little family within the Auburn family. Smash that like button on the way out. Thank you for being here. And until I get to talk to you again, War Eagle.